All right, we just finished grading our practice quiz 4-14. You can pause it here, 8th graders. All right, so
We're only making this for you.
we're making this, yeah, for people that were absent today. So we're asking which point does not lie on the line. So we know how to check if a point does lie on the line by our warm-up. So I have to plug in each of these to see what happens. So when I plug in -6 and 2, I get 2 is equal to -1/3 times -6. So a negative times a negative over here, shout it out, is a positive, yeah. And then 6 divided by 3 is a +2. When I have 2 equals 2, that is on the line. And we're looking for something not on the line, so it can't be A. Again, you go through this. -3 is our y. There's my y. So -3 is equal to -1/3. And now I'm going to plug in my x. My x is 9. So now I have -3 is equal to, so I have a negative times a positive. Negative times a positive is a? Negative, yes. And then 9 divided by 3 is a -3. Again, same number, so it's on the line. It can't be B. Checking 0, 0, that one goes really fast. I plug in 0 in for y, I get 0. 0 times anything is always 0, so this one is on the line. By process of elimination, you should get D, which is the correct answer. But how do we get that? So I plug in -1 for my y, and I have my 1/3. I plug in -3 for my x. So a negative times a negative, oh, it's going to be a positive. 1 equals -1. These are different numbers, so this is not on the line. All right, ask me questions about number 1, otherwise we're moving to number 2. Raise your hand if you want more time to write down notes. Okay, thank you. Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Go for it.
So on the 3, -3 on the end,
Yes.
do you have to multiply that with the -1?
So you're talking about this area over here?
Yeah.
So are you asking about the step between here and here or after I get to here?
After.
So like when I have -1 equals 1?
Yeah.
So at this point we can stop because we have a number equal to a number and then we can draw a conclusion. But to get to this point you do need to do the multiplication right here. Yeah, good question. Keep asking questions, guys. Raise your hand if you need more time to write down notes. All right, we're going on to number 2. So number 2, what was the x-intercept? So the definition for x-intercept. If you don't know it, that's when y equals 0. I plug in 0 for y. It's always kind of the opposite, and we have this in our notes too. To find x-intercept, I plug in the opposite, which is y, and I set that equal to 0. Essentially what this does is it turns this whole term into 0. You don't worry about it. You are left with 5x equals 20 because you cross out all of the y's to find what x is. And then what am I going to do to both sides? Shout it out. By?
5.
Perfect, yeah. So divide both sides by 5, divide by 5, and I'm left with x equals 4. So now I'm between C and D. I know it's 4. So the x coordinate has to be 4. So the answer is C. Right from the very beginning, I can go ahead and cross off D and B because the y coordinate is not 0. The y has to be 0. This is y equals -10. This is y equals 4. So it's really between C and A if you just know the definition of x-intercept. All right, raise your hand if you'd like more time for notes. Any questions? All right, we're moving on to number 3. So, which point is a solution? This is a little bit weird of a question, but it's asking which of these is on the line. It's the same question as number 1. It's the same type of question. So, I have to go through manually every single one of these and plug them in. So, I plug in -2 for x, and I get 3 times -2 plus 6 times my y, which is 1/6, and that should equal -4. So 3 times -2, shout it out. -6. Can I get more participation, please? Plus, and then 6 divided by 6. Someone new?
4.
There it is. Thank you for participating. That should equal -4, and I have -5 is equal to...
-4.
Thank you. -4. I like the participation, even though it's kind of funny. This is not on the line. Not on line. And we're looking for something that is on the line. So it can't be A. Okay, I ran out of room here, so I'm going to do B over here. So again, I'm plugging in 3 times my -2 for x is going to be added to 6 times 1/3. That should equal -4. 3 times -2, shout it out.
6,
-6, thank you. Plus, what is 6 divided by 3?
2.
2. All right, I have -4 equals -4. Hey, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for something that is on the line. This one is on line. Perfect. So the answer is B. I could go through each of these to prove that these also are not on the line, but I'm going to go ahead and pause here. This should be the process that you guys go through as well. Once you find the answer, you can stop. If you have extra time at the very end, then you can go back and check to make sure C and D are not on the line. That's how you can check your work, making sure that these are not. All right. Raise your hand if you want a little bit. I know that people are still writing. I can see the pencils. Raise your hand if you have questions, though. Please ask questions. I like it when you guys ask questions. It tells me that you're engaged. You're thinking about the math. If they're actual questions. I don't want to ask questions about what I did for dinner last night. I want to know.
Can I ask you a question that's not about the problem, but it revolves around all of the work you just did?
Sure.
Are we getting the grade on this that we got just now?
You get 100%.
Okay.
Everyone gets 100% on this.
But why?
Okay, I lied. then.
Because you tried. If you try, I'm going to give you 100%. This is considered a homework assignment. If you try on the homework, I'll give you 100%. No questions, and I don't see any people writing. Raise your hand, otherwise I'm going on to number 4.
Let's go to 4.
All right, here we go. Number 4. So, what is the y-intercept? So, definition of y-intercept. Can someone give me that definition?
It's something that's on the wall.
It's something that's on the y what?
Line.
Y, it has a very specific name. Ah, there it is. Yeah, y-axis.
Same bracket, same.
Yeah, so it's on the y-axis. What's another way to find the
You
y-intercept?
gotta plug in that number for x.
What number for x?
8.
Where'd you get 8 from?
8.
You do plug in something for x.
The number.
What number?
The one that gives you 8.
Who said it? I heard it over here. Caroline, yes, you plug in 0 for x.
Same thing.
It's very similar to our last definition. For number 2, the x-intercept is where y equals 0. The y-intercept is where x equals 0. You switch these and set it equal to 0. The whole point here is to find the y-intercept, get rid of the x. Cross out that x. We don't want that. We just want the y-intercept. This goes to 0, so we don't worry about it. We're left with 4y equals 24. Technically, I am plugging in 0 for x, but I can skip a step. I know when I multiply by 0, that's going to be 0. 4y plus 0 is just 4y. I can skip to this step, 4y equals 24. And then from there, I can divide both sides by 4. And y, as Aurelio said, is equal to 6.
12.
Correct answer is C. I still see people writing. Are there questions about number 4? It's very similar to number 2. Just a different intercept, a different form for the answers.
So every time it tells you to ask for the y-intercept, you just completely take out the x?
Yes.
It's okay. I guess that makes sense.
All right, raise your hand if you want a little bit more time to write down stuff. No hands? Okay, on to our final problem, number 5. So, what is the slope of the line that passes through these 2 points? Remember that slope, that's equal to rise over run, or Mr. Sindel's favorite definition, which is delta y over delta x. And you should have the formula where you do y1 minus y2, all divided by x1 minus x2. And we are out of here in 20 seconds, so let's go through this really fast. So this is going to be 1, this is going to be 2. So y1 is going to be 4. This is the y-coordinate of my first point, minus the y-coordinate of my second point, 6. All divided by the x-coordinate, 3. The x-coordinate over here, 9. When I simplify this, I get -2 all over -6. That simplifies to a negative divided by negative is a positive. That is a positive 1/3. The correct answer is A.